The bosses of the world's two giant airplane manufacturers say the January 5th launch of 5G phone services in the US could have serious safety implications for airline jets. Here are the details. The BBC reported on Tuesday, December 21st, that the top executives of Boeing and Airbus have called on the US government to halt the launch of 5G phone services in the US. Two of the biggest phone companies in America, Verizon and AT&T, are scheduled to switch on their 5G networks on January 5th. The Boeing and Airbus executives say there is unsettling evidence that C-band spectrum 5G wireless radiation could interfere with sensitive aircraft equipment like radio altitude meters. These high-tech devices are very important to guide the pilots and onboard computers, especially at night and in misty or stormy weather when visibility is almost zero. The chief executive of United Airlines, Scott Kirby, says if the FAA's new 5G directives come into effect, airline pilots would not be able to use their radio altitude meters at around 40 of the biggest airports in America. The airline makers made their plea in a joint letter that cited researchers who found that if 5G rules had been in effect in 2019, about 345,000 passenger flights and 5,400 cargo flights would have faced delays, diversions, or cancellations. The American Wireless Industry Group, CTIA, says 5G technology is safe, and it accused the aircraft makers of fear-mongering and fact distortion. In a blog post cited by the BBC, the CTIA's chief executive said pushing back deployment 1 year would subtract $50 billion in economic growth, just as our nation recovers and rebuilds from the pandemic. A newly released scientific report casts more light on the case of U.S. diplomats who believe they had suffered physical damage from microwave weapons used by enemy agents. A panel of U.S. scientists found that the symptoms were likely caused by directed microwave devices, renewing discussions about the use of microwave radiation in 5G wireless networks. As with the difference between microwave ovens and microwave weapons, the discussions revolve around exactly how short the wavelengths in 5G microwaves are and how directed they are. A new report by a U.S. National Academy of Sciences committee has found that directed microwave radiation is the likely cause of illnesses among American diplomats in Cuba and China. Microwave weapons work in much the same way as an ordinary microwave oven. A strong electrical current is fed into a magnetron. A magnetron is a high-powered vacuum tube that oscillates microwaves to produce high-energy microwave radiation. However, in a microwave oven, this energy bounces around within the walls of the oven. Instead of containing the energy inside a box, a microwave weapon concentrates the energy into a focused direction with minimal broadening of the energy stream. This is why it's also called a directed energy weapon. AP reports the committee's finding provides the most definitive explanation yet of the illness that struck scores of government employees, first at the U.S. Embassy in Havana in 2016, and then in China and other countries. Many of the officers suffered from dizziness, fatigue, headaches, and loss of hearing, memory imbalance, and some were forced into permanent retirement. Two British firms recently announced their plan to deliver 5G internet to planet Earth from giant drone planes that can fly in the stratosphere for up to 9 hours at a time. Unlike SpaceX's Starlink service, which will see thousands of satellites hanging in low Earth orbit, this new concept will require thousands of giant drones taking off and landing all the time worldwide. However, the two companies, Cambridge Consultants and Stratospheric Platforms Limited, or SPL, say that as few as 60 drones would be able to cover a country as big as the UK. The developers say the core of their stratospheric 5G concept is a cutting-edge antenna that can produce 480 steerable 5G beams that create patterns that can be painted onto the ground to cover specific areas, such as roads, railway lines, or shipping lanes. The huge antenna would be strapped to a drone that can provide its huge power requirements. Each drone will have a massive wingspan of 60 meters and would use eco-friendly but highly combustible hydrogen fuel, which would give it 9 hours of flying time. Authorities believe that Anthony Warner was the only person responsible for the Christmas Day bombing in Nashville, and that he died in the explosion, according to the BBC. The initial theory is that Warner managed to concoct a powerful bomb and place it in his RV. He then drove the RV bomb to downtown Nashville on Christmas morning and parked it right next to an AT&T transmission building on 2nd Avenue North at 1:22 a.m. Residents were woken up by the sound of around 20 gunshots between 5:11 a.m. and 5:26 a.m. Police responded to the area at about 6 a.m. and heard a warning coming from a loudspeaker on the RV. The voice warned of a bomb in the vehicle and told people to evacuate, while also counting down the minutes before detonation. The bomb exploded at 6:29 a.m., severely damaging the AT&T transmission building and knocking out data services in 5 states. Warner is known to have had extensive experience in IT work. Media reports say the FBI asked Warner's acquaintances if he was paranoid about 5G technology and believed theories that 5G was being used to spy on people. China has broken ground on a project that aims to put miles of solar panels in space and use them to power a massive microwave emitter that will hang 23,000 miles up in the sky. Here's hoping that the giant microwave beam does not go off target and start frying miles of Earth's surface. Here are the details. The Times reports that China's government plans to launch a fleet of mile-long solar panels into space by 2035 and beam the energy back to Earth. The basic concept involves a space station with a solar array to convert solar energy into electrical energy. Then it would use the microwave transmitter or laser emitter to transmit the energy to a collector on Earth. The Earth-based station will then transfer the microwave energy back into electrical energy, from where it would be fed into the grid. As part of this ambitious project, Beijing has broken ground on the new Bishan Space Solar Agency station in the city of Chongqing. The station will begin tests by the end of the year, with the hope of having a functioning 1-megawatt solar energy station by 2030. By 2050, China plans to have the station fully operational and producing a gigawatt of power, the same output as the largest nuclear reactor in China. Space-based solar systems can be much more efficient because it's always sunny in space, and the sunlight does not get filtered by Earth's atmosphere and clouds. The idea of space-based solar power stations has been around since 1941. Science fiction writer Isaac Asimov first wrote about them in the short story Reason. In the story, he wrote about a space station that transmits energy collected from the sun to various planets by using microwave beams. A number of concept designs were created in the 1970s, but none were deemed economically viable.
For more news animations and explainers, hit the subscribe and bell button to join the TomoNews family. Thanks for watching.